The month of September was one of the roughest in recent years. Do you believe the fourth quarter will be better for the market?
Yeah, historically, whenever we've had bad Decembers, we normally have positive returns for the fourth quarter. Also, too, September is really important because of the fiscal year climate. So I think we'll start to see a lot more buying in October. I think we'll be fine, especially like amongst the Magnificent Seven. We'll be fine. A lot of stocks came down to lows where relatively I would like them. Like if Apple got to 162, I would want to buy in there. It's currently a 173, and it hit a high in July of 198. So every time we have a September, we average between 2 to 7% for the fourth quarter. So unless this UAW strike remains, I'm still interested to see when people have to start paying back loans on a student loan side, how much of an impact that will have. The government shutdown won't have that big of an impact, but the biggest thing is if the Fed will keep raising rates. If they announce they won't raise rates for the rest of the year, definitively, I think that will ease a little bit of the pressure, and then the stock market will be a-okay going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, historically, when people ask why, I always look at what does history tell us, and historically, the fourth quarter has been the best quarter to trade in, right? So if we look at over the past 40 to 50 years, the NASDAQ on average, the best month to trade in has been January is the best month with the average growth of 2.5%. November is the second with 1.8% growth, and December is third with 1.7%. That's the NASDAQ. So, I mean, you would think, all right, that makes sense, but let's look at other indexes. So the S&P, I'm going off my almanac when I'm talking about history. For the S&P, the number one month to invest in is November with an average return of 1.7. So that's a broader look inside the market, over 500 companies. Second is April, and third is December. So you got 2 months inside of the fourth quarter for both the S&P and the NASDAQ. And then the Dow Jones, best month to trade in, April. Second is November with the average return of 1.7%. December is third with 1.6. And so across the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, 2 of the 3 months inside of the quarter are the best on record to trade in. So will the fourth quarter be better? Yeah, because right now, and October kind of ends it, that historical worst 6 months to trade in, September being the worst. October been kind of shaky over the past 10 to 15 years. But we're headed toward the best time of the year if you're trading.
And the Christmas rally has been coming a lot earlier this year. Normally, toward going into Christmas, stock market usually has a rally. Hedge funds are taking on clients. So the existing clients that you have, you can't really recruit a bunch of new clients if you're down a bunch of money. So, and I said, I think last year when we did Hulu at Madison Square, the first and fourth quarter are the best months to trade. It would be best to sit out the third anyway. And by this time, if you're going according to your trading plan, you should only have a few more trades up until November anyway, and you should be able to close out the year very strong. So the bookend, so like trading the first hour and the last hour is ideal for trading, but on a quarterly cycle, trading the first quarter and fourth quarter are ideal, and this is a great time to pick up shares to roll into the next year as well. It's also simple. It's also simple.
All seasonal, all history.
Yep.
Okay. So the VIX rose 50% in the last 10 days. What key levels do we need to know and what do we need to keep our eyes on to better have gains in the market? And what is the VIX again for people that aren't familiar with the VIX?
Yeah, the volatility index is a measure of what the volatility is doing in the market or how choppy the market can be. So if the VIX gets down to $12.46, chaos is on the way. So the VIX does the opposite of our market. So the lower the VIX gets is usually a sign that the market is at a high and about to crash. And if we get to 1988, that means that stocks are going to boom. So if a VIX has a high, there's usually a low end for the stock market, and the stock market is going to go up. If VIX is at a low, it means stocks are going to come down. So for example, if we go back to COVID, the VIX got to $85. Every stock on earth was at its low. I know, right? And now from 2020 through earlier this month, we got to a low of 12 and a half and some change. So if you go back to 1987, VIX was at $172.79. It was all hell on earth. Ever since then, the market has never hit that same volatility score again. So when the VIX is high, it is then time to buy. I'm channeling my inner 19 Keys. This Keys, you've been in the studio a lot lately. Can't wait to hear what you're working on. So if the VIX is at a high in the stock market, it's time to buy.
Right, because that means that the prices are lower than they usually are. So is there a number? Is there a number inside the VIX? And I remember during COVID, we were watching that number and we were like, if it gets to that 35 to 40 range, we could trend high. Is there a number that you look at to say, all right, did this some cause for alarm?
Yeah, $34.80. So
Okay.
if it gets there, and we're so far off from that now. And even though every week there's like UAW, Hollywood ended their strike, but now musicians are quietly talking about, do they need to strike? What you guys do? I mean, because if a fan is having to stream your album 20 times a day for you to make $25 off a fan, that's insane. But the market has remained relatively calm. This is one of the calmest environments. Like September was bloody, but overall, the crypto market has been positive. Stock market has been positive. We haven't seen that much volatility. But yeah, if it gets to the 34.80 spot, that's when I'll have a little bit of concern and trepidation.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a great correlation if people would pull up the VIX, and you can type it in as your ticker, VIX, and just look at what it did for the last month. Even with all the volatility or the pullback in the market, the VIX never got above 20.
Facts.
Right. So that should tell you there's some stability happening here.
Yeah.